Magistrate, number 8 on the list, Commonwealth versus Ray Alvarez, docket number 2011-964. Defendant is present. Counsel, would you please introduce yourselves?
Good afternoon, Mr. Magistrate. Elizabeth Keeley for the Commonwealth.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Magistrate. Greg Johnson on behalf of Ray Alvarez.
Good afternoon.
May the defendant be arraigned?
Please.
Ray Alvarez on indictment number 2011-964-001, alleging motor vehicle homicide felony. Indictment number 002, operating a motor vehicle under the influence. 003, leaving the scene after causing death. 004, leaving the scene after causing property damage. And 005, operating a motor vehicle to endanger. Do you waive the complete and formal reading of these indictments, sir?
Yes.
What say you, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Thank you. Question, Bill?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Magistrate. As the Commonwealth's statement of the case sets forth, this was a extremely tragic and violent accident that occurred on the afternoon of May 28th in Waltham. The deceased, Irving Vogel, was a passenger in an ambulance on his way home after dialysis treatment when the ambulance was struck, as the Commonwealth alleges, by the defendant, who was operating not only under the influence of alcohol but operating negligently and at a high rate of speed. Took a turn onto Newton Street off of High Street and struck the almost stopped ambulance in the left front of the vehicle with such impact and with such force that the ambulance spun to the right 90 degrees. The deceased, Mr. Vogel, was in a wheelchair. He was harnessed with a shoulder seat belt and a waist seat belt. He suffered traumatic blunt force injuries as a result of this impact and was taken to Newton Wellesley Hospital, where he died several days later as a result of that blunt force impact. The defendant backed up and drove away from the scene, driving north on Newton Street, took a left on Chestnut, proceeded down onto Lowell, doing a complete turn, sort of a U-turn, so to speak, back to his house on Alder Street. And as he pulled into his driveway, he struck the side of that building, causing damage to that building. He was witnessed getting out of his truck by a neighbor. He had a passenger, Mr. Osmond Moran. Both of these men had been drinking that afternoon for several hours at a bar in Waltham. And the Commonwealth's case is strong versus, with respect to the defendant's operation, his intoxication. The accident reconstruction places his speed of his truck at approximately 50 miles an hour when it took the turn at a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. And causation, the medical examiner determined that Irving Vogel died as a result of the blunt trauma suffered in that accident. The defendant has been out on bail since his arraignment in the Waltham District Court on $2,500 cash bail. The Commonwealth is agreeable to the same cash bail. However, we have additional conditions that we'd like imposed. One is that he surrender his Guatemalan passport, that he not apply for any other passports during the pendency of this case, that he report to probation on a weekly basis by phone, and that probation conduct random breath tests on Mr. Alvarez, that he not operate a motor vehicle, regardless of whether or not the Registry of Motor Vehicles reinstates his license to operate. During the pendency of this case, the Commonwealth argues that he should not operate a motor vehicle, and that at least initially, when events occurred in May of this year, the defendant was employed. I am told by probation that he's not working. I would suggest that it would be appropriate to order that he actively seek and maintain employment, and I believe that would be the conditions that the Commonwealth would ask be imposed in addition to the cash bail.
Mr. Johnson.
Good morning again, Mr. Magistrate. We have no objection to the $2,500 cash bail request. That figure is agreeable. What we would object to is the imposition of the pretrial conditions of release. I understand that Mr. Magistrate and Madam Prosecutor pointed out to me a rule that applies to the magistrate session with regard to conditions. However, my reading of Commonwealth versus Dodge is that it's outside of the court's purview to be able to impose these conditions unless they're agreed under 276, Section 87, or under filing with 58A, neither of which apply in this particular situation. Mr. Alvarez, as Madam Prosecutor stated, has been out on the $2,500 cash bail for the better part of 3 months. He has had no issues whatsoever with law enforcement and plans to attend each and every court appearance that the tracking order suggests we comply with. I would suggest that he does have roots in the community. He's married to a United States citizen who's been very involved with communicating with my office at the very least and getting constant updates on our end about the case and how we plan on proceed in terms of defending the indictments. Mr. Alvarez wants to comply with every aspect in terms of reporting to court and has done so, and that suggests that piling on these additional conditions would be above and beyond what's needed to ensure that he returns to court. What I'd argue is that there is a presumption of innocence, and to essentially put him on probation at this stage is premature. This case is most likely going to be a lengthy one, and to have him essentially under the thumb of the probation department for the next however many months the case stretches on, it suggests is unnecessary. And as I stated previously, Mr. Alvarez does plan on reporting to court for every appearance. And then with regard to the no driving in particular, Mr. Alvarez does not have a license. It was suspended on the date of the incident. I believe he is eligible through the registry's eyes to get the license back at the end of the 6-month period after the incident. And I suggest that the registry is far better equipped to manage his ability to drive as opposed to the court system. And I'd suggest that a blanket order for him not to drive for the duration of the case is excessive, as I stated previously.
Thank you. Actually, what the prosecutor's requested is actually pretty standard operating procedure here, separate and distinct from the magistrate's rule. It's pretty much what's become out in almost every single case in this court. Secondly, with regard to the rules of the magistrate session, it's been pretty particular in terms of the magistrate has set bail in each and every case subject without prejudice, therefore subject to review, and I will avail you of that. Anything further?
No, Mr. Magistrate.
One piece with regard to, again, all bills without prejudice, you have the right to review that bill at any time during the pendency of this matter, but particularly with regard to the license laws. Even if he had a license, this is again standard operating procedure in this session to prohibit driving. Pre-trial conference statement. If you want a bail review, you should so ask the clerk to schedule that for you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Magistrate?
If you want a bail review, please ask the clerk to schedule that for you.
Thank you. We're not going to schedule that at this time. If the court needs it, we have the bail receipt that was posted for Waltham District Court.
Prosecutor give us a transfer.
We'll decide.
So do you want to put in the 22 days or do you want to?
Something within 21 days, counsel.
I'm sorry?
Something within 21 days.
If you want to waive the 21 days, you can go beyond it.
About the 31st of October.
You waive the 21 days,
Yes.
obviously.
That's a 9 a.m.
October 31st at 9 a.m. So that'll be in this session. Ray Alvarez on indictment number 2011-964. It's ordered by the court that you recognize in the amount of $2,500 cash. That cash will be transferred from the district court. Following conditions: that you surrender your passport, and that you not apply for a new one, that you not travel out of this state, that you report to the probation department 1 time a week, and that be by phone, that you not operate any motor vehicle, that you maintain or actively seek employment, and that you undergo random alcohol testing at the direction of the probation department. Do you understand that, sir? So recognizes, and sir, you were notified that while on this bail, that commission of a crime may result in revocation of your bail and you being held without bail, and failure to appear can result in a fine of $50,000 and/or 5 years in a state prison or 2.5 years in a house of correction. Did you also understand that?
Yes.
Thank you. So recognizes October 31st, 9 a.m., pretrial conference in this courtroom.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Clerk.
you.
Thank you.
One
Counsel.
small procedural
Yes.
issue. Mr. Alvarez lives in Waltham. Since he's not going to be able to drive, would the random screenings be able to take place at the Waltham District Court?
That's
As opposed to-
fine.
Thank you.